Eric Gibaud, ericgibaud.com, and today I'm going to tell you my 5 tips or advice, photography advice for the month of November 2021. Let's start. So, I know it's a bit early, but I'm going to speak about several things about Christmas because some people are getting ready for Christmas photos. So let's speak about it. Not everything will be Christmas, but some will be. So, first tip. I see very often people want to make pictures of Christmas lights when they got the lighter on. Okay, so it's like a lottery. They're just waiting and random, see where they come up. But then you realize that whether it's your Christmas tree or street lights or even concert lights, they always have some rhythm. So you should start counting. Every 5 seconds the light goes on, and for 1 or 2 seconds or half a second, doesn't matter, but you start counting. Unless you're in a rush to make the picture, very often you have plenty of time to count and to get into the rhythm. So you like this: 1, 2, 3, picture. 1, 2, 3, picture. Well, this way, okay? So in concert, for example, people think everything is dark, but you realize that very often the stage is not that dark. If you really take time to watch, you realize there is some beam of light that come up at a regular tempo. So of course the tempo changes depending on the song, okay? But when you get into a song, start counting and you see that every 2 seconds there's a light that goes on the singer, or every 5 seconds, and there is some rhythm. So if you get synchronized with these lights, you'll get your picture at the right moment with no panic, no rush, no stress. You just count and you go easily this way, okay? So for Christmas lights, same thing. Your lights in your Christmas tree probably go the same way with some rhythm. And street lights, Christmas street lights, same thing. So count, get into the same tempo, and then you know exactly when you have to trigger. Advice number 2. Well, I know it's very early, but most people who speak about their Christmas picture, that when they fail, okay, if they're good, no problem, but when they fail, you ask them and you realize that they actually did their Christmas picture for the first time that Christmas. But not just Christmas picture, that indoor picture, they did not practice ever. So you should start practicing with flash, without flash, with a bit of light, not much light, backlit, whatever. Have your one of your family sitting on the sofa and like if you was opening a gift, and then see what's the right angle, the right light, all this probably at the same time, in the same situation as Christmas will be. So when the big day comes, then you're ready. You don't have to panic. You know exactly what to do to get the picture right, all that. So I think if it's going to be the first time you make a Christmas picture with a camera, maybe you've been doing with your smartphone for years, okay, but now you want to really do with your camera, you should start training already, okay? And if it's first time with a smartphone, you should try to train a bit also, okay? So train already. I know that you have a month and a half still, but still train, honestly. Advice number 3. Very often I see people, when you ask them, what was the setting of your camera for that picture? You say, well, I can't remember, but I've got the EXIF. I can check that at home, okay? And people rely on EXIF data. This data you actually get with your file, photo file, that says the aperture, the speed, the lens you were using, the camera you were using, the ISO, all this. But I think EXIF was probably useless unless you were actually there yourself making the picture, because there's a lot of info that the EXIF will not tell you. So I think the best EXIF is a small book where you write in there and you just write everything, the situation, the distance. Very often you see people say, oh, I lit this way, but how far was the model on this picture? I'm not sure. Why, if you don't have this data, that's a problem. What was the light orientation in this landscape? Well, I'm not sure. And you should even draw a small croquis in there in your book and write where light was coming from, what flash, where it was placed, how far was the person, what time it was. The EXIF can tell you the time and the day, all that, but you should write all this in one small book, a booklet, and this way you have all this information and check it from time to time, because very often I realize that some people they never check again the situation or never write down anything, and they're not even able to repeat the same pictures because they have to reinvent every time. So I advise you use a small booklet and write down everything about the picture you're making. Well, obviously if it's an important situation or special shooting or whatever, then you write down everything, and you make a small drawing of the situation, where things were placed, where the camera was, where the person was, where the flashes were, all this. Write everything down, okay? And there's nothing better and more practical than a small book. It's more, in my opinion, it's better than any electronic notes, okay? Advice number 4. Well, for some people who did get the booklet, as I said before, very often people go out looking for location, so they write the geographical situation. Sometimes they add a dot on Google Map with personal information, all this, but really it's not enough. They make some pictures of the place to remember how it was, how it looked. That's good, but the most important thing is also to know the sun orientation and the time, the light, all this, because sometimes you decide to go back like 2 months later or 3 months later, and then the orientation of the sun is not the same, and it's darker a lot sooner or a lot later, and it's not the right time to make the picture for what you wanted to do, okay? So there's a simple tip. If you don't want to use an app, I'll speak about the app just after. If you want to know more or less at what time it will be dark or sunrise or sunset, okay? Well, from the 21st of December to the 21st of June, in the North Hemisphere, you can add 1 minute of daylight per day. In the South Hemisphere, you should take out 1 minute per day, okay, -1. And from the 21st of June to the 21st of December in the North Hemisphere, you should take out 1 minute per day, and the South Hemisphere add 1 minute per day. That's simple, okay? So with this, more or less, you know that when you went there a month ago, well, will be about 60 more minutes of light or 60 less minutes of light, sunlight, okay? The sun orientation is a bit harder to know because it varies during the year, but it's very hard to know exactly how to estimate it. And in any case, you could get an app like Sun Surveyor. I actually I used it for the video I made about sunset. I'll leave you the link here. So I'll write on screen Sun Surveyor, and this app will tell you the exact orientation and the time of sunset, sunrise, blue hour, all this, okay? So use something like this, or if you don't want to use an app, make this easy estimate with 1 minute per day. Advice tip number 5. Let's go back to Christmas. Well, what I'm going to say is not just Christmas, it's for any indoor picture with a party of people, more than one, okay? I see that some people, when they're indoor, the first thing they do is to open their lens as wide as possible, maximum aperture, because they say, yeah, but this one I need more light, I don't want to put the ISO so too high, so I put maximum aperture. And then they make the picture of 2 or 3 people, and then after that they check on computer, on screen everything looks fine very often in small, but when they're at home or on the computer, they open the picture in big, larger, and they see that one person is in focus and the other people are not in focus. Why? Because the more you open the aperture, the less depth of field you're going to have, the shallower it will be. So in this kind of situation with several people, you cannot just play with aperture to get more light, because you take the risk of having one person in focus and the other people not in focus. So it's really important that you know well how your depth of field is going to be, practice, and not go straight away with opening the aperture. Obviously, if it's one person, a portrait, and you want the Christmas tree in the back with the out of focus lights, that's great. But if you make picture of a couple and one is in focus, other one is not, maybe for one picture that's fine, but for the souvenir picture they probably want to be both in focus. I also see that in weddings. Some people, they have the bride in focus and the bridegroom is never in focus. It's okay for 1 or 2 pictures to be like some kind of artistic and leave the guy completely out of focus, but you need at least 1 or 2 pictures where they're both in focus, okay? So it's really important. The first thing many people do is rush opening the aperture when it's they should think that it will affect the depth of field. Obviously, there are more things that affect depth of field, but aperture is a big chunk of it, okay? So take care with that. Well, that's it. I hope you like this advice. If you think they may interest other people, please share the video on social networks. If you have not done it yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's a small button down here and also a small bell. If you click on the bell, you get notified when I upload a new video. My website, ericgibaud.com. If you have any question, can leave a comment below. I'll also leave you links to my gear on Amazon, links to other part of my YouTube channel, link to all the gear I've reviewed by K&F Concept and Sandmark, and a link to my PayPal account in case you wanted to make a donation. Please take care of yourself and see you soon. Bye!